Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and thank you so very much for joining the Life Signatures Radio. It's another opportunity for us to produce these episodes and to learn one or two things. Even as we're continuing to do this, remember that this is a daily show where we talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience. And right now we are in the middle of a series. We're talking about resilience of some sorts, but we're talking about self-deficiency. We're talking about how this thing is detrimental in our lives, how it's detrimental in our progress, in our success, how it's inhibiting our potential, it's inhibiting our fullness of glories, and so on and so forth. And we're going to continue talking about the same in the episode today, where I want us to look at the other areas where self-deficiency is brewed, where self-deficiency is created. See, self-deficiency, if we don't know where it is created, then we'll deem ourselves, we'll just keep going around in the dark and not knowing what to do and how to deal with it in the first place. So today, of course, we've already looked at two other places where this self-deficiency comes from. You can check the past two episodes. Today, let us look at one more place. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So, even as we have already done this, the past two episodes, we say that sadly, self-deficiency is created or it is nurtured, will you believe it, from the family. The very cradle of place of life where we're supposed to have the opposite happen. The family. And close to it in the episode yesterday is the school or school systems. It is where, sadly, self-deficiency broods. If we don't understand this, you see, those are good places. These are good places where you're supposed to grow, the family and the school. But if we don't understand that it's a double-edged sword, they also churn out self-deficiency, we will not be able to deal with it decisively. Some of you, you're taking your kids to school just because it's an expensive school. You've not factored in the idea of the psyche of your child being molded or being killed for that matter. So be careful where you take your kids to school. Is it a boarding school? Is it a day school? Do you have access to your children where you can be able to pour into them their self-sufficiency and nurture it and bring it to the fore? Or you're going to expose them to the world where you're not having a clue of how their self-deficiency is being. I spoke to a parent, a friend of mine, some time back, some 2 weeks back. And he told a very interesting story. He said that he was taking his child to this particular school. And this is a happy child, jumpy, nimble, active, funny, and so on. And then a few months or terms in this new school, the child is the complete opposite. Reserved, gentle, introverted. This is not her. And this guy decided, hey, it's not going to happen. Move this child to another school. And the child went back to the original settings. You get what I'm saying? We've got to be aware. We've got to be aware what's going on. We have school transforming the psyches of children if we're not careful. Because some schools do not care about your kids, they care about your pocket. I kid you not. Anyway, I'm not gonna dwell on that. Today, let us look at another place places where self-deficiency is bred. Work, a place where you go to work. Basically, just any place where you spend your life, you can have your self-deficiency breeding. We get an opportunity to do something, and we do something at work. But the problem is that we're waiting all these years. Like I said yesterday, you have able-bodied men and women skilled with a brain. They have graduated and they have never earned a dime. Why? Because the school told them you can't earn no dime until you've got the certificate and somebody has employed you. Wrong thinking, which needs to really change. We wait for something like 10 years before we can start doing something constructive for which we can be paid. And someone wrote some imaginary rule that we cannot work if we have not gone through school, we've not been given a certificate, and so on. See, it's in our work that our purpose is supposed to be deployed. But invariably, you find that even at work, if you are not careful, you find that your self-deficiency can come. Basically, any place in society, and that's the other place where self-deficiency comes from, any place in society where people are interacting. We live in communities. We spend the rest of our days working and existing in a society. Our relationships are formed there. The esteem of our fellow men is also sought from there. Right? And the opportunity to matter and make a difference is also found there. So it is easy to know that the great part of our self-deficiency is also manufactured here because it is where our contribution is supposed to be seen. Right? So if the contribution we're bringing in is not seen and so on and so forth, you keep getting feedback from either people or from bosses and so on, it is easy for self-deficiency to be manufactured in those places. Basically, every place where human beings are gathering and they're doing life, if you're not careful, and this is so pervasive, it doesn't care what institution it is. It could even be a religious institution. I cannot begin to open a can of worms and tell you how much self-deficiency has been manufactured over the years in the so-called religious institutions. But we need to be aware. We need to be aware that every place where, you see, we are not perfect as human beings. Even if we do not want to manufacture self-deficiency, sometimes it ends up being something that is done there. Every place where we meet. Self-deficiency is brought about by what you are exposed to, what you experience, the environment around you, and what you hear from people in authority in your life. This is everywhere. First of all, what you're exposed to. Second, what you experience. Third, the environment around you. And fourth, what you hear people in authority speaking. That's how self-deficiency is manufactured. So that's why you can see the home, it covers all those angles, all those 4 angles. The school, it covers all those 4 angles and even much more. The workplace, it covers all those angles. The community, it covers all those angles. The workplace, it covers all those angles. So from the 4 places where you and I can spend our lives, our self-deficiency or otherwise is manufactured around the following pillars. We need to be aware of these pillars. Number 1, my identity. If my identity is messed up at home, at school, at work, or in society, I am messed up. Number 2, my capacity. Capacity is basically potential. What can I do? Now, you've found, we've discussed and we've said that in school, it is only one academic capacity that is looked at for the most part. That's what the emphasis is on. It's not on the games. The games are just there and so on. You never examine for your games. You never fitted for your games. You never given certificates for your games. And society doesn't employ you because of your games at school, the games that you played at school. Society employs you because of the certificate you got. And therefore you find people not going to play but studying books, so that they can get the certificates, so the society can accept them and society can reward them. Therefore, if other people had other capacities, that capacity is diminished. And so if you gauge someone who is good at something else with something they are not good at, which is academics, their self-deficiency is manufactured right there. The third thing that we'll need to look at as a pillar where self-deficiency is manufactured is your purpose. If you don't know what you're supposed to do in life, you will invariably feel self-deficient. And then, of course, the last thing is our contribution. If you cannot contribute, that's what we talked about these things some time back. There are 6 psychological needs when we're talking about the subject of work. 6 psychological needs, and one of those psychological needs is contribution. If you cannot contribute, I don't care who you are, if you cannot contribute, even if there is food on the table, there's food in the fridge, you are sure that 100% the whole month, the whole year, your food is going to be there, your data is going to be there on the phone, the gasoline is going to be there in the car, the curtains are going to be there, the house is going to be paid for. If you are assured of all these things, but you are deprived of a method of contributing into society, I kid you not, you will feel deficient, self-deficient, because contribution is not there. So we will start looking at, now that we've talked about those different pillars where self-deficiency is manufactured, we'll start looking at how exactly can we start reorganizing ourselves so that we can kill or overcome or build our capacity so great that self-deficiency has nothing on us. Until then, till tomorrow when we get started with that one, stay tuned and bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.